And now let's break it all down with David Urban, the GOP strategist and CNN senior political commentator who advised Trump in the campaigns of 2016 and 2020, and Paul Begala, CNN political commentator and former counselor to President Clinton. Paul, I'm going to start with you. What's your answer to my poll question? If he had limited the pardons to the nonviolent, would it be defensible?
Well, it'd be more defensible, but let's face it, he is right now targeting nonviolent and violent criminal immigrants. The Lake and Riley Act, which many Democrats voted for, was a good bill. It said if you're here undocumented and you commit even a nonviolent crime like burglary, like robbery, like theft, we're going to deport you. Democrats came and supported that. So why is Mr. Trump so tough on criminal immigrants and so soft on criminal insurrectionists? These people, this is a violent, I have to tell you, it was a horribly violent riot. They brought guns, they brought stun guns, they brought pepper spray, bear spray, and they attacked cops. You know, Michael Fanone of the Washington Metropolitan Police Department, they tased him in the neck with a taser, his own taser, until his heart stopped. These are animals. These are violent animals. And Trump let them walk the streets. None of us are safe. And he ought to be held to account for it. I'm glad you're holding to account.
David, I'm giving him props for effectiveness this week, but you'd agree he's going to rue the day that he cut slack to the violent J6ers.
Yeah, you know, Michael, you and I spoke about this already. I think actually on the inauguration day. I think if you put your hands on a police officer, right, you should go to jail. You should serve a jail term. Your earlier piece about 3.5 years, I'm not quite sure what the time, you know, how many people who assault a police officer, what time in jail you get. Is it 2 years? Is it 3.5 years, 5 years? I think it is, you know, pretty red line. If you strike a police officer, if you touch a police officer, you go to jail. Republican, Democrat, white, black, we cannot tolerate violence against police officers in any quarter.
Okay, we have agreement among the three of us.
But real quickly, I don't believe that everybody there that day, the 1,500 or 1,600 people charged, were all, you know, you can't paint them all with the same brush. There were some people that were incredibly violent and struck police officers. Yeah, no, exactly. And so, but Paul was, so I just want to make sure we make a distinction that there were some people there who I think were overly charged, who were, you know, kind of, the justice system did not play them fairly. And so I think that the pardons for those individuals are well-deserved. However, I think these other folks who hit police officers who were violent, listen, Pam Bondi and J.D. Vance both said the same thing. We're going to pardon the people who should be pardoned, and the people who struck police officers going to stay in jail. It's a pretty easy distinction.
Let me keep moving because I got a lot to cover with the two of you. Paul Begala, Ruth Marcus, no fan of the president, noted that he was ruthlessly effective this week. How are Democrats going to stop the momentum that Trump 47 has?
Well, by pointing out that he has one job: cut the cost of living. That's why he became president, despite the multiple felony convictions that he himself has. Maybe that's why he pardoned all those people, because felons like felons. He's got one job. He got to cut the cost of groceries, gas, and rent. And that should be the Democrats' mantra: groceries, gas, and rent. Like, so if you're making, like I'm about to, breakfast tacos for your kids this morning, okay, that bacon is $6.91 a pound. The eggs are $4.14 a carton. The milk is $4.10 a carton. The gas to get to the grocery store is $2.95 a gallon. I logged all that down on Inauguration Day because that's the standard Democrats have to hold them to. My party, Trump's genius is that he throws a lot of stuff at the wall, apparently his hamburgers and ketchup even. But we chase everything, we Democrats. We shouldn't be the donkey, we should be the largemouth bass. We chase every lure, and then we're always surprised there's a hook in it. Rather than chase every nutty, bizarre Trump thing, like the Gulf of Trumpistan, okay, fine. Keep the main thing, Democrats. Democrats exist to support the middle class. Trump got the votes of the middle class, and he is already betraying them. Did you see any working men and women in the rotunda there, in that room full of billionaires? Did you see any of the steel workers in Michigan, hardworking men and women who gave him that state, or farmers in Wisconsin, or steel workers in Urban's home state and yours of Pennsylvania? No. So I think Democrats should talk about the betrayal of the middle class, because Trump will not keep his most important promise: cut the cost of groceries, gas, and rent.
David, respond to that and talk about Trump 2.0 in comparison to the Trump of 8 years ago. As I noted at the outset, this guy, this version, hit the ground running, unlike what happened before. Your turn.
Yeah, so Paul's correct partially, right? Trump was elected to fix two things, the woke and the broke, right? So people were tired of woke, and they're tired of being broke. So what he's attacked initially is the woke, cutting out the DEI, no boys and girls locker rooms, all the things, all the social issues, which pushed all those Democrats, those former Democrats, to become Republicans. They were fed up with it. They know the difference. They know what's going on in America. They're tired of the wokeness, okay? So that's what he's addressing first. He will now attack the broke part, fixing the economy, moving forward, unleashing American energy and the like. And Michael, to your point, the velocity at which this administration is traveling down this path is incredible. I mean, the amount of things that have been accomplished in these past few days is just overwhelming. And I'm not quite sure that any human being, let alone this president, can keep up with this pace. But that's what's needed because we have so much to fix in America. We have, the president's promised no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, fixing the SALT issue, right? So just on the tax front, right, we've got a lot to do. Seal the border. I mean, there are so many things to do. We've been talking about this. The Congress is trying to debate whether they do one bill, two reconciliation bills, try to get things done. There's so much the American public wants to see done, wants to see accomplished, that he has to keep going.
I have to say, David, and this goes to Paul now, and he'll agree with me. There's just no olive branch. There's just no overture to the half the country that didn't support him. Let me say this. I really liked seeing him in North Carolina. I liked even more seeing him in California and Governor Newsom being there to welcome him, given their history. And just when I find myself, cheering Trump's unity message in California and North Carolina, he can't help it. And he's got to throw in that he won North Carolina. And he's then in California got to throw in that he has a lot of support. And he sees everything through the lens of, were you for me or were you against me, Paul? I would have hoped, obviously you agree with this, I just would have hoped that he'd, take the win and recognize you represent everybody now.
Well, let me put it in historical context. Okay, I worked for Bill Clinton. He only got 43% of the popular vote, but he became president. On election day, he was at 43. You know where he was on inaugural day? 57. He spent that transition reaching out to the center and to the right. George W. Bush, he came in with Bush v. Gore. People like me were having a fit. We were so upset. I looked it up, he got 48% of the popular vote. By inauguration day, he was at 57. He had gained 9 points by the bipartisan outreach that he had in his transition, his early days. Obama got 53. That's the best any Democrat's done since LBJ. You know where he was on inaugural day? 67. Now, Mr. Trump got 49.8.
David Urban,
he is my
get the
president.
final.
He went from 49.8 down to 47. So he's already losing altitude. Democrats, don't be scared of this guy. He's already losing altitude.
David, can you whisper in his ear? Can you whisper in his ear and tell him he won?
Yeah, listen, so Michael, here's my take on this, right? So when Trump was inaugurated in 2017, the Washington Post ran an article that day when he was getting sworn in about impeaching Donald Trump. For the next 2 years, we had Russiagate. The guy didn't get to rest because of a fake, made-up BS story. He was investigated. You had all these things. Now, Paul, you could do your violin. So and then you had 4 years of lawfare against the guy. No, Paul, listen.
He's a pathetic figure.
Listen, I'm just telling you that the man has some right to be a little PO'd, right? And say take a victory lap and were you for me or were you against me? Because so many people have been against him for the past 8 years. He looks around, he looks at his friends, he remembers his friends, and he wants to punish his enemies.
I'm fine with that.
It's politics.
I'm fine with that when
politics.
he's seeking political. But wait, when he's seeking political retribution, I get it. I'm a big boy. But when we're talking about aid, it shouldn't matter whether this is a blue state or this is a red state. That's just saying. No. I appreciate both of you.
But Michael, but I don't think he was. He went to California. He stood there with Gavin Newsom. He was meeting people. He went out to the state. He offered an olive branch. He said, "Listen, you should be able to have. You should be cleaning up your house." Right. Sat down at a round table with Karen Bass.
What's it got to do with voter ID? By the way, I want voter ID. I think it's a good thing. Let's make it an ID that everybody has in their wallet. But that's not a part of this conversation. Anyway, I appreciate both of you. Thank you. I got to roll.